Hello and welcome to an Anfield Index special for Media Matters. These are difficult times for everyone. We appreciate at the moment. There's not always a right and wrong thing to say, but we have made the decision to go ahead with recording today and making sure we pay our own tributes to Diogo Jota. This won't be a show where we talk about things like transfers or too wider afield. Things are just more important at the moment. And I'm joined as ever by the renowned and the respected David Lynch. And David, I mean, just at the moment with all this, there's still that incredible, overwhelming feeling of sadness, isn't there, across the board?
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I just feel like it still is not even close to kind of sunk in really the reality of it, because it's just a thing you just couldn't comprehend that something like this could happen. So, I mean, it sounds ludicrous almost to say that, because people die at young ages all the time, and across the world, and I guess all of us have kind of been touched by that in some way, with family or whatever, or friends. But it kind of we kind of put footballers on this pedestal, don't we, of feeling that they're invincible and these things don't happen to them. And yeah, for someone who plays for Liverpool to be kind of cut down in the prime of his life like that, and obviously his brother as well, is just devastating. And it just feels multiplied by the fact that it's just so unexpected. And as I say, obviously it happened on Thursday. Incredibly, the funeral's already been, and yet you just don't feel like close to processing it. And I guess this is something that's going to have to go on into the season over the next for a long time, really, and be thinking about this and processing it. I'm sure it's very much the same for the players and the manager and the coaches and all the staff, really, who knew him so well. So it's just incredibly sad, and it's going to be that way for a long time, to be honest.
Yeah, there's no sort of time on this when things are going to change. I mean, everyone will feel it different. I mean, we're both dads of young boys as well, and you think of all the scenes or the photos we've seen around Jota being married with his wife, his 3 kids, or all those photos. This is just going to hit differently for different people, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And as you say, it's the family element of it is the hardest hitting part of the whole thing. I mean, his wife and his poor children, and then obviously his mum and dad as well, and the loss that they have got to contend with, and that even in a few weeks' time, when it feels for the rest of us who are slightly removed from it that it's kind of eased off, they have got a horrible long road ahead of them, quite frankly, with just I don't know how you recover from something like this, quite frankly, and because it's so unexpected, it just feels kind of worse, because you can't plan for it, you can't get your head around it like as you could with, say, an illness or whatever. It's just just a difficult path ahead of them, really. And I suppose they can only maybe take some solace from the fact that there's been such an outpouring of love, haven't there, around not just Liverpool but the entire footballing world. And maybe they can take some positives from that outpouring of love, and the fact that their sons were so loved across the world. Maybe that's something they can take from it, but it's still just so senseless and so hard to get your head around, really, and for them, even more so. And my heart really does go out to them.
Yeah, there isn't really words for how much everyone's feeling. And I know you'll have seen this the same as me. There's been obviously tributes at Anfield, different people laying wreaths, the queues in the best possible way round the block, aren't they? And it just shows how Merseyside, but the wider Liverpool community, come together in the worst possible circumstances, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm blown away really by the size of that Anfield tribute, and the speed with which that's built up, and it just shows you the strength of feeling, doesn't it? Not just for the footballer, but the man as well, because Everton have more than played the part, not just the club itself. Which, I mean, just a quick word for them: Everton, unbelievable football club with unbelievable people in it. I think they are always there at Liverpool's lowest moments to show support. And I've covered Everton for a lot of years. Obviously, I exclusively do Liverpool at the moment, but a lot of my career as a reporter, I've been at Everton, and they are just absolutely class from top to bottom. And I think you've seen that again around this situation. As I say, their fans taking part in it as well, but fans of other clubs as well have come to show the support. And as you say, it's pretty breathtaking, isn't it? That the tributes that are there, and the size of it, really. And as I say, really, it's you just hope that the family can see that and take something from it in terms of a small positive from this, in terms of how loved their sons were, and how much of an impact this situation has had on everyone, really. So yeah, it's pretty impressive, those sights at Anfield, really, I'd say.
Yeah, and you're right about Everton. Even there was reports that Seamus Coleman came late last night on his own, sort of without any fanfare, just to pay his respects. And even you think back to all those years ago with the Reece Jones and all that, it was Tony Barrett, wasn't it, who suggested that Z-Car should be played at Anfield. There's always that connection between the two clubs. And from the Liverpool side, we've read statements from Arne Slot, Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, or all of FSG. There's never an exact right thing to say, but the words have been right. They provided comfort for some, haven't they?
Yeah, I thought they got that absolutely spot on in terms of the tone, and I have to say I was particularly impressed by. As I say, impressed, I don't know if this is the right word to use. I mean, we all can be clumsy around situations like this, but I thought Arne Slot's statement was just so bang on. It was unbelievable, really. I mean, it really moved me, I have to say. Just the way he was able to give not just a sense of the loss of a colleague and a footballer, but of the man, really, and how important he was around the place, really, and talking about how loved he was by literally everybody in the squad. I thought that was just phenomenal, really, and how lucky Liverpool are to have another figurehead following Jurgen Klopp who absolutely gets it. But it's not a given that a great football manager is going to be great with words and be able to express the right ones in a moment like this. And yet Arne Slot absolutely did that. And again, it's just something that you hope in time, maybe Diogo's wife and his parents will be able to read and take something from it, because I thought it was a really, really touching tribute, and I thought they all were, to be fair.
Yeah, there was so many that had just sort of broken us again and again, and it's quite clear as the statements have come out. Obviously, there's an incredible team ethic, that feeling at Liverpool, but you've seen from the statements the likes of Robbo, the likes of Caoimhin Kelleher, they were really close, weren't they, in that dressing room to Diogo Jota?
Yeah, I really liked Robertson's description of him as well as the most British foreign player he'd ever met. I love that. What a nice memory to have of him. And what that said to me, obviously, that was kind of based in the idea that he loved his darts, loved his horse racing, all those kind of things that are very kind of, you think of those as a quite British interest, really. But what he was saying there as well, I think, is that, and I always got this sense actually from Jota, really, is that he was never part of, you do get these cliques in dressing rooms, don't you, that are based along kind of the lines of nationality or generally languages. And that will happen absolutely naturally. I'm saying that's a negative thing at all. But it didn't feel like Jota was ever tied to any of those groups, really. He seemed, as in with the British lads and the local lads, as he was with the lads who were South American or Spanish speaking or Portuguese speaking. He really did seem to be someone who kind of crossed all those boundaries and was liked by everyone. So, I mean, you can't really pay a better tribute than that, than someone who he really was a friend to absolutely everyone in that dressing room, because it's not a necessity. This is a workplace, and sometimes you're not going to always get on with everyone or be loved by everyone, but it seems like he absolutely was. And yeah, what a legacy that is, above all of his his ability as a footballer.
Probably says it all, like you mentioned, that all the players who attended the funeral and wake, we saw that, obviously horrible to see, but the reactions, the effect it had on them, but other players within the games and others even doing his celebration tributes, it just shows how loved he was in the world of football and wider.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly that. I mean, the funeral as well, the players being able to turn up there, I thought that was, because it's not always easy, particularly at such short notice, when that funeral was very soon, wasn't it? After he sadly passed on the Thursday. So yeah, for them to have such a turnout, really, was quite a lot of Liverpool staff there as well. I noticed who were around the first team, they all managed to get out there as well. So I thought it was a great show of support, and again, you hope it brings comfort to the family. So, but yeah, I mean, the reaction beyond that as well, as you say, the wider footballing world as well. I mean, every single club sending a message of condolence in some form, either on social media or sending flowers to the tribute or whatever. really kind of coming together, because I just think everybody could see, everyone could imagine themselves in this position, that this is, this sudden loss really, and of these young men that we all idolize. Everyone could see what that was going to feel like, and completely understand it and show that empathy really. So, but I also think it speaks a lot as well in terms of, you've seen a lot of rival fans, an outpouring of grief, which I don't just think was based in how horrendous this situation was. I think a lot of it was kind of a recognition of, this was a footballer that people liked, because, I think he showed his personality on the pitch really. Total hard worker, aggressive, but in the completely right way. Never seemed to kind of rub people up the wrong way with it. He was just always on the line of trying his absolute best to help his team win. And he was brilliant as well. And so, people recognise that. And he was also, good fun, wasn't he? And I think a lot of people have played against him on FIFA at times. And so people felt like they knew him through that as well. So, I think that's, that again just speaks to his character, doesn't it? That the fans of so many rival clubs were just, as floored by this, really.
Yeah, fans of rival clubs, but also you look at.
I think Dave's StreamYard is playing up at the moment, but just to continue on that, because I've got the agenda here. Fortunately, I think he's one of the things he's maybe mentioned on this is kind of to go on to some favourite Jota memories, and I'm just talking about favourite Jota memories, Dave, just to move on through the agenda when you disappeared there, and I was just thinking about that, kind of how many there are there really, because I mean, he was someone who absolutely loved a goal in a big game, and so there's quite a few of those. I mean, I really, just to pick a couple from his last season, I mean, that Fulham goal, would it, to come back with that in such important circumstances was a very, very Jota thing. I think I look at that Everton goal as arguably the most perfect last goal that anyone could ever score in the career, really, because I mean, a tight game, it's a big game, it's really important to Liverpool. The way he jinks his feet through, really cool finish at the cop end, sending the keeper the kind of wrong way because he gives him the eyes to the far corner and comes in here. I could not think of a more Jota goal than that, really, is a really good memory of him. And I will always kind of cherish that one, because it was a very, very important goal and very, very him. But I also think you've probably got to look back as well at some of those kind of Arsenal goals, because that was his favourite opposition in a Liverpool shirt, 7 goals against Arsenal. And in terms of favourites out of those, I mean, maybe that one where he picks the ball up from a bad pass out and sits 2 or 3 people down on the backsides before passing it into the net. That's a really, really good memory. And again, you think of players in the squad and footballers, and kind of how football is an extension of their personality, and everybody plays the game in a different way. He had I just could not imagine anybody else in the squad scoring that goal in the way that he did, that they're sitting everybody down in the way he did. Others would have just gone for the finish earlier or whatever, but he just wanted to make sure, and he just had that drop of the shoulder that everybody fell for. So maybe that's the one I probably most remember him for, really. And but there was a lot of good memories, and you only have to go through Neil Jones's tweets of 3-1 Jota. He sealed quite a lot of games in his time at Liverpool, either the winning goal or one to absolutely seal it. So a lot of good memories there.
Yeah, even we forget when you watch back the highlights how many goals at Old Trafford he got in that 5-0. Also, even when the COVID years in the 4-2, the backheeled flick. Yeah, always a goal for the big occasion for his teammates as well. And this is maybe the hardest bit. There's the unknown element. We're not quite sure how it will affect those players and how it will affect them individually. But they'll need support from us, and they'll all need support from the clubs, and keeping an eye on a little bit for their welfare, won't they?
Yeah, because it's going to affect them all very differently as well. I think the key thing here is they've got to think about is, some of these players are going to want to play on. They're going to want to just kind of get it out of the system, or find a way of kind of almost not to forget about it, but a chance to kind of just put the mind on something else by playing through it. And then there are going to be other players who are not going to take that mindset. There are going to be players who will not feel right for a while to kind of play, and it won't be a good distraction for them. They'll just be thinking about it while they're on the pitch, because that is a lot of how they interacted with Diogo. So it's got to be kind of horses for courses and just work through it on an individual basis and what is best for each player, really. So we'll have to see how that's done. But Liverpool, the way they operate, the support staff that they've got behind the scenes, they'll be very understanding and they will work through this together. And there's a very tight squad as well, so they will all be there to support each other. So I'm confident they will be able to do that. And it's absolutely crazy that that process is going to have to start soon, because pre-season's starting soon, and it feels ridiculous to even consider that. I'll talk about it, but yeah, that process of kind of supporting each other is going to start very soon, and we'll just have to see how they manage that. But I'm sure they will.
Yeah, no doubts that they will. And